The bell rings before you see the cart. One slow strike, then another. The sound drifts through the narrow street and lingers in the air like smoke. The smell comes next. Rotting food, human waste, damp wood, and beneath it all, something sickly sweet that settles into your throat. A man walks beside the cart with his head down, ringing a handbell to warn anyone still outside. He does not look inside. No one does anymore. The cart moves on, its wheels slick from the streets, disappearing into the dark. You don't die in battle here. You die behind a closed door while the city listens from the other side. But the real danger is not just the sickness. It is what happens when a crowded city realizes it is trapped with it. Look closely. This is London, 1665. The year the Great Plague turns England's capital into a sealed labyrinth of fear and death. Nearly 500,000 people are packed into a medieval city already stretched to its limits, and once the sickness takes hold, escape becomes a privilege most do not have. Tonight, we are walking through Plague Year London, as if you were there. We will move from its gates to its markets, from its homes to its taverns, watching how ordinary people tried to survive while the city slowly closed around them. By the end of this journey, you will understand why surviving the plague depended less on medicine and more on class, crowding, and timing. The question is simple. Would you survive it? London in the mid-17th century is loud, compressed, and vertical. Houses rise several stories high, leaning toward each other until the upper floors nearly touch. Streets are narrow, uneven, and dark even at midday. Waste flows wherever gravity allows it to go. Most Londoners are poor, labourers, apprentices, servants, dock workers. They are paid by the day, sometimes by the task. If they do not work, they do not eat. There are no savings, no safety nets, no spare rooms. There is no understanding of bacteria or infection. Disease is blamed on bad air, divine punishment, or invisible vapours. When sickness appears, the city responds with force, tradition, and fear. And now, the plague has arrived. At the city gates, arguments break out daily. Guards shout at travellers waving papers and coins, begging to pass. Some want to flee, others demand entry, unaware of what waits inside the walls. Official notices are nailed to wood, listing new orders as fast as they can be written. Travel restrictions tighten, gatherings are discouraged, houses are watched. The wealthy are already gone. Merchants with country estates left quietly weeks earlier. Influential physicians vanished without announcement. What remains is a city of people who cannot afford to leave and cannot afford to stop working. Rumours spread faster than the disease. People whisper about swellings in the groin and under the arms, about fevers that bring delirium, about black marks that appear just before death. Soon the bells ring from morning until night. Markets stay open because they must. London cannot survive without food moving through it. But the crowds feel different now. People stand farther apart when they can. Hands hesitate before touching bread or meat. Food hangs uncovered. Flies swarm freely. Ale is watered down. Flour is stretched with fillers. Prices climb sharply as supplies thin, and arguments break out over scraps. Hunger arrives before sickness for many. Malnourished bodies weaken quickly, and resistance collapses. Entire streets begin losing people in clusters rather than individually. The plague does not move evenly through London. It follows poverty. Would you survive on what you could afford here? London has no true sewer system. Chamber pots are emptied into gutters. Rain spreads waste through every street. The Thames flows slowly past the city, thick with refuse, while still being used for washing, drinking, and cooking. Rats thrive in this environment. Fleas thrive on them. When rats die, their parasites search for new hosts, moving unseen through bedding, clothing, and walls. People believe the air itself is poisoned. They burn herbs. They carry flowers. Some smoke constantly, believing it cleanses the lungs. None of it works. The filth is not accidental. It is structural. The poorest neighborhoods are the dirtiest, and they pay first. Most families live in a single room. Parents, children, and lodgers share the same air and the same bedding. Windows are small, ventilation is poor, privacy does not exist. When someone shows symptoms, officials arrive with boards and paint. A red cross is marked on the door. The words, "Lord have mercy upon us," are written beneath it. Guards are posted outside. No one leaves, no one enters. Healthy family members are locked inside with the sick. Food may be delivered. Often it is not. Guards accept bribes or abandon their posts entirely. The policy is meant to protect the city. In practice, it traps death inside homes and lets it burn through families at once. If the plague enters your house, your odds collapse overnight. As deaths rise, work disappears. Workshops close, ships stop unloading, apprentices are dismissed without pay, servants are sent away with nothing. Without income, people crowd together to survive. Families double up. Strangers share beds. Exposure increases, but hunger leaves no alternative. Gravediggers demand higher wages. Nurses and plague searchers are overwhelmed. Some drink heavily just to keep working. Others steal from the dead. Fear becomes profitable. False cures spread. Desperation sharpens cruelty. Taverns remain open longer than churches. Alcohol dulls panic. Gambling dens offer distraction. Prostitution does not stop. It simply moves deeper into alleys and cellars. These spaces are warm, crowded, and unventilated. Cups are shared. Bodies press close. Infection spreads quietly. Crime rises as enforcement thins. Theft becomes routine. Violence escalates quickly. When death feels inevitable, consequences lose meaning. Would you risk these places for warmth, food, or human contact? Courts still function, unevenly. Punishments remain harsh. Public executions continue, drawing crowds that spread disease further with every gathering. Watchmen patrol less frequently. Fires burn longer before help arrives. Wooden houses stand packed together, waiting for a spark. London is no longer just sick. It is starting to come apart. By late summer, the bells no longer mark individual deaths. They ring continuously until the sound becomes part of the background, like wind or rain. Some churches stop ringing altogether. The ringers are dead, sick, or gone. Entire streets fall quiet. Windows stay shuttered. Doors remain marked with red crosses long after everyone inside has stopped breathing. In some houses, bodies lie untouched for days because no one dares knock. At night, death carts roll more frequently. Children learn the sound of the wheels and retreat indoors without being told. The men who collect the dead stop announcing themselves. There is no need. Everyone already knows why they are there. This is the moment when London realizes it has lost control. Burial grounds inside the city fill quickly. Churchyards overflow. Graves are reused too soon. Eventually, new pits are dug beyond the walls, wide and deep enough to take hundreds of bodies at once. There are no coffins for most of the dead. Bodies are layered, scattered with lime, and covered quickly. Names are not recorded. Prayers are rushed or skipped entirely. Families are not always present. Many are already dead themselves. Others are locked inside marked houses, listening as carts carry away what remains of their lives. This is not a dignified death. It is efficient. And it has to be. Some houses never receive a red cross. Not because they are safe, but because everyone inside dies too quickly for anyone to notice. Doors stay shut. Windows remain dark. Neighbors avoid these buildings instinctively. Rats move in freely. Fleas spread outward, searching for new hosts. London becomes a patchwork of sound and silence. One street still arguing and trading, the next completely empty. Would you know when to run, or would you stay too long? Those who can leave do so late and desperately. Servants flee without permission. Apprentices abandon masters. Guards disappear from posts. Officials stop enforcing orders they no longer believe will save them. Others stay because they have nowhere else to go, or because leaving means starvation in the countryside, or because they are already sick and know it. Survival becomes individual. Neighbors stop helping neighbors. Doors stay locked. Trust evaporates. The plague does not just kill bodies, it dissolves social bonds. Doctors who remain wear heavy cloaks and beaked masks stuffed with herbs. The outfit looks protective. It is not. Treatments include bleeding, purging, and strange potions that weaken patients further. Some cures promise protection through charms, powders, or prayers sold at inflated prices. Others recommend isolation that arrives too late to matter. People want certainty. The plague offers none. Now here's the part people forget. Even bad medicine feels better than helplessness. And in 1665 London, helplessness is everywhere. As autumn deepens, something changes. The nights grow colder. Fleas become less active. The rate of new infections begins to slow. Deaths do not stop immediately. They taper quietly, unevenly. People notice the bells ringing less often. Markets cautiously reopen. Survivors step outside and see how many faces are missing. The plague does not end with celebration. It ends with exhaustion. Step back, and the pattern is clear. London is not destroyed by the plague alone. It is destroyed by how the city is built and who it is built for. Density accelerates spread. Poverty concentrates risk. Containment policies protect trade and order more than families. The wealthy escape early. The poor absorb the consequences. Locking houses slows movement but traps death inside. Delayed restrictions allow the disease to seed itself everywhere. Information spreads unevenly, and fear fills the gaps. This changed everything. After 1665, London begins to rethink sanitation, housing, and public health. But those lessons are paid for in mass graves and sealed doors. The city survives by sacrificing its most vulnerable. By winter, London feels hollowed out. Shops reopen beside abandoned homes. Children play in streets where entire families once lived. New tenants move into rooms without asking who died there. Some survivors prosper. Labor shortages drive wages up. Opportunities open for those still standing. Others carry scars that never fade. Memories of locked doors, of carts in the night, of bells that would not stop ringing. The city moves forward because it has no choice. Look closely, and parts of this feel familiar. Crowded cities, unequal risk, early exits for those with resources, delayed action justified as necessity. London in 1665 teaches a brutal lesson. Survival is not only about avoiding disease, it is about where you live, how much you earn, and when the system decides you are expendable. Beautiful in its endurance, brutal in its cost. Would you survive